We are live.
All right, we are live, and it is a happy, happy, happy Friday. Sue, how are you? What are we live about? Of course, it's another installment of Get a Clue in 52 Speaker Edition. I'm coming to you from a brand new location. I don't know if I've done one of these from my office on campus at San Diego State, but that's where I'm coming to you from. Sometimes I'm at a client. I mean, remember earlier in the year, I was in Cancun. You never know where I'm going to be. Like one time, I think I did one of these sessions from like a bar during March Madness and basketball tournament. Anyway, so
You did.
here I am in my office at San Diego State because a client of mine lives like less than 5 minutes away. So I visited with her and then rolled up here so I can get stable Wi-Fi. Unless a bunch of students walk by in between classes, then their cell phones will like interrupt my signal. But for now, let's do the best. Obviously in a great mood. I'm always in a great mood. I'm always happy to be here with you, Sue. We've had quite a year together, haven't we? We've had quite a couple of years together and all of the things that we do. And we're sprinting to the finish line of our project for this year, which is Get a Clue in 52 for speakers, right? And there's the cartoon versions of us. And we're reading one tip per week. And we are going through the 5 categories. And they are, of course, let me get to my banners. Oh my God, where are my banners? All right. Well, first of all, welcome. Second of all, second of all, you're Sue. And thirdly, I'm Jeff. Okay, we got that out of the way. But the first section of our book, and by the way, props real quick to Lisa Reed, who wrote the foreword for our book. That's important. Props to Patty Blakesley, who wrote the back cover description for not just this book, but all of them. I Get a Clue in 52 books, all 4 of them. So might have to reach out to her again with the projects that we have coming up. But what we want to, and by the way, Stella, who did the interior design, did I tell you Stella like retired from our ecosystem? I had a conversation with her this morning and she's no longer on consistent competitive. 3 years I paid for her college in the Philippines the entire time that she was with me, and now she's on to corporate and she's taking off. And we knew that she would graduate. She's such a superstar, but I want to send some gratitude her way. I got to talk to her this morning. She's still going to be attached or connected, but just not on the same, work pace, if you will. Yeah. And she's off to better things, and I'm happy for her. She graduated. Yeah. So let's get us into what we want to talk about. We know that we start with the integrity game for the structural integrity, the foundation. Let's seal the cracks. Let's tighten the bolts. Let's lever the foundation, on and on and on. Then let's design it with our competitive advantages, our brand promises, our differentiation, our sloganeering. Let's make sure we're not too humble, so humble that we don't miss opportunities, the humility of humiliation, or the humiliation when humility is humiliating, all of that. That's one of my favorite tips, by the way. But then we got into section 3, which is focusing on the 8 steps to fearless public speaking. 8 steps. And we put 2 steps in front to get our mind right? 2 tips in front, and then tips 23 through 30 were the 8 steps to fearless public speaking. We know that tip number 27 is probably the most important step of all. The 5th step to fearless public speaking is outlining. So we introduced it from a strategic perspective in section 3, but it's so important, it gets its own section. So section 4 of our book really just breaks down step 5. That's how important step 5 is: outlining, getting the thoughts out of our head into outline form, intro, transitions, body, conclusion, and all of the elements, forms, and functions that takes, which sets us up for step 6, 7, and 8 to practice delivering it all. But we got to get it all out of our head to all the reasons that we talked about in those tips. And that leads us to like the fun section, where we are now. Right. And Sue, I'm going to see, do you want to take us through and, the tips 41 through 45, because, we're finally here at tip 45 today. Sales is a 5-letter word. But if you want to review our first couple of tips, I'll screen share and bring up the org chart. Does that sound good?
Good. Thank you.
All right. So, so let's hear it.
Sure. So, while you're bringing up the org chart, we started off with tip 41, asking the question, is it worth it? And that is, as the owner or the shareholder, us doing that fee of feasibility. So asking the hard questions about, is it worth the effort, the money, the time, all the setbacks, the roadblocks, and so on.
The fits, the starts, yeah, I'm just going to get on any org chart right now. So
Yeah,
there
the
it is.
backwards, the forwards.
We call it
And
the
then,
fee of feasibility is tip number one there. Is it worth
yeah,
building? Is it worth running? Is it worth everything else that goes along with that? And go ahead.
yeah. And then if we say yes, then it's about moving to that second position, which is your chief operating officer, essentially, is having someone to run it and making sure that they look after then the four departments that sit underneath, which are marketing, sales, operations, and finance, and doing the work accordingly. Then we asked, tip 43 was moving into our first of, I think we were in
Operations.
operations. Yeah, it was, do we have a menu? What are we selling? So working through what makes up our products, and asking the question, is it only speaking that we have? Because that comes with a whole set of issues, accountabilities, or are we using speaking to support a broader practice or business? Then we moved across into tip 44, which was about bringing information in and
That's where
looking at.
we got out of operations there. Out of operations, tip 43 was in the operations department, but we left to get into the land of marketing now for tip 44 and
Marketing.
5. Go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we talk about the 3 C's. So doing the research around customers, competition, and then what are the conditions and climate that we're operating in. So focusing on bringing the information in, and then naturally, if you're bringing information in, you need to be pushing it out, which was tip 45 that we looked at last week, where we were still sitting in marketing. And one of the comments that I've got underlined in my chapter here is that one is we were talking about messaging. So one is content, the other is delivery.
Mm-hmm.
One is what you were saying, the other is how you are saying it. And we were focusing on those differences, which brings us to today, where we come back and we're
Well, we
back.
leave marketing and we're not back into operations yet. We're going to move over into the land of sales. Today's tip
We've got sales on its own, haven't we? Of course, yes.
Yeah, because there's only, and we're going to talk about this, and I don't want to get ahead of myself, but there's only one accountability in sales, and that's convert. We're going to get to the word for word reading of it in just a second. But yeah, I'm way more familiar with this part than you are. But yeah, we start in operations with product and service development, or what's our menu, and then we're going to come back to operations, but we leave to go into marketing. Like once we know what we're selling, we got to go to marketing. It's like, who are we selling to? Who else is selling? And how do they know that we're selling? So we got to bring info in and info out. And then once they know that we're selling, if they're still in the conversation, they went from John Doe or Jane Doe to a lead, right? Where now we can identify name or phone number or email. So from we didn't know them to now we know them to now they're interested. If they're still in the conversation, they know what we're selling and they're still in front of us. Now they're a prospect. So anonymous, lead, prospect is that chronology. So once they're a prospect, now they're in sales. Now there's only one accountability in the sales department, and that's convert, as we're going to get to in the word for word. So having said that, any comments or questions or anything else from you, Sue, before we get into the word for word?
Only to not go into it right now, but I had the opportunity to do a workshop during the week that was specifically around speaking business, which was a lot of fun. And I'll come back with some of the comments in relation to sales that came out of that, and we can, I'd like to explore some of that with you after we've read the tip.
All right. Well, yeah, that's good. It's like the tip reading is valuable, but sometimes I trip over my own tongue and stumble over my own cadence, and I need to let me reread that. And like the tip reading is cool, but sometimes it's clunky, awkward, funny, or mistake prone. compared to the rich, authentic, and organic value that we get from the conversation after the tip reading. So it's always dynamic. I'm looking forward to that part of it. But let's go ahead and move forward now. And I have my copy here, but it dawns on me that I could just look straight ahead and give the appearance that I'm looking at the camera. And let's go ahead and get us started, Sue. Tip number 46, sales is a 5-letter word.
Yeah. So starting off, I say I've got here. So as we've talked about, there's a lot to take in, but I'm still excited to learn everything I need to know to own and operate a successful speaking business. Since we've covered marketing, question is now, do I jump into sales?
Speaking of jumping into sales, Dee Davis just jumped into the session, and I had to jump out of screen sharing and jump into adding her to the stage, jumping back into the word for word. Hello, Dee. You are here, and happy Friday. All right.
Hello.
Sales. Sales is a 5-letter word, and it just so happens to be the 6th accountability in Org Chart 101, and the only accountability in the sales department. Convert, enroll, close. Whatever term you use on surface for the accountability of sales, this tip asks you to first swim to the depths of your subconscious and find a way to love sales. Okay, genuinely like sales? Okay. Like sales enough to be willing to do sales? Okay. How about like building your speaking business enough to be willing to do sales? Do you see where this is going? If I asked you if you are a salesperson, you would say, perhaps with some posturing pride, as I call it, no, I'm a speaker. I'm laughing. I might speak for, and you would say myself, or I have my own speaking business. I then might ask, who does the sales in your business? And then you would say, if you are building a speaking business and don't even aspire to be good enough at sales to really admit that you do sales, readily embrace the identity of a salesperson, parentheses, someone who studies, practices, and competes to make sales every day, in parentheses. You can expect your speaking business to struggle. And I put speaking business in parentheses. We're starting to cue the music in the background. Before I was trained as a coach or ever sold my first paid speaking gig, I had many sales jobs, sales trainings, years of sales experience, door-to-door, by phone, in person, selling such things as a newspaper subscription door-to-door as a 12-year-old kid, phone card business opportunities as a college student in my early 20s, a change in career as a headhunter in my late 20s and early 30s, cold calling alumni of universities to get them to donate to their alma mater in my late teens, fundraising for consumer protection and campaign finance reform door-to-door in my mid-20s, to name a few. You get the idea.
And I love the reflections you've listed of various sales roles. I'm sure if our reader took a moment to reflect, they would realize that there have been many times that they have engaged with the principles of sales without realizing it. I know for me, my first paid job was selling menswear. Anytime I've applied for a new position, I've had to sell my skills, abilities, and experience. Understanding this helps to make sales less scary and far easier to embrace.
It is entirely believable that it is my sales training, not my coach's training, that deserves the credit for the growth of my practice. My ability to enroll clients and generate revenue to put back into the business to continue self-promoting my way to offering 2 comp sessions to more and more people. Right? The truth is, getting at least as good as sales isn't enough either. But I'm hammering the point that you have no chance at growing your speaking business without learning how to sell and getting comfortable, if not in love, with being a salesperson. Ready for more tough love? Here's what they do not tell you in speaker training, right? Speaking is an eat what you kill profession. If you want anyone else to do the sales for you, that means you will be a contract or employee speaker working for another organization. Let me say this again and continue. If you want anyone else doing the sales for you, that means you will be a contract or employee speaker working for another organization, not your own. Furthermore, you will be getting paid very, very, very little for your speaking, especially compared to what the client is paying your organization for your speaking, and probably compared to your worth. I have earned contracts with coaching organizations where I would get coaching assignments. They were not my clients, they were my assignments. I didn't have to do the sales, just show up online or in person and coach. Same is true for speaking. I've been hired by other organizations to go and speak, not to my clients, to their clients. You do the math here, right? I didn't have to do the sales, just show up online or in person and coach or speak, right? The compensation for those assignments was no more than $150 an hour for the phone or for the Zoom sessions, or $800 a day for a full day on site in-person assignments, not paid for travel time on planes or in hotels away from my family, right? Not bad if they could fill your calendar with those, right? Right. If you had a calendar full of $800 days for 5 days, that's, $4,000 a week, and do the math, right? Except if so, you're not growing, quote unquote, growing my speaking business, end quote, as much as you are customer service fulfillment for somebody else's business. From the end of 2016 until mid 2018, I took on so many assignments as Coach Jeffrey for one of my independent contracts that I did not promote my own business or meet so many of the other accountabilities I'm presenting in this section beyond a super bare minimum way. I hired an assistant for 10 hours a week to do the admin, just enough to, quote, keep the lights on, but I wasn't coaching business, even though I was earning 6 figures as a coach. I'm going to say that again. I wasn't growing my own coaching business, even though I was earning 6 figures as a coach. By the way, what was I coaching? A lot of people. A lot of these assignments were coaching people on speaking, bringing out all the stuff in the book is what I was coaching people on, right? I digress. When that contract was up, it felt like starting all over again when returning to full-time focus on my own, quote, business. Moreover, if you want someone else to do the sales for your if you want someone else to do this, right? No, slow down. If you want someone else to do the sales for your speaking business, you will have to recruit, interview, and hire contract someone, and then give them leads and prospects, unless they're supposed to get those on their own. Right? You will have to give them commission on every sale, and maybe a draw against commission so they can eat during the time it takes to ramp up their sales. You will also have to train them how to sell speaking, unless they already know, in which case, are you ready? If they already know how to sell speaking, how would it be attractive to sell speaking for you instead of themselves or anyone else they could be selling speaking for? If they already know how to sell speaking, then now you got to figure out, why would they want to sell for you? So in addition to all those other things, now you got to compete with selling for themselves or selling for anybody better than you, right? Okay. Right? So now here you go again, market. This is fine. I got to slow down on this one. So here you go again, marketing yourself to a salesperson. So you don't have to do your own sales. You would literally be selling a salesperson on the opportunity to sell for you. If you happen to find yourself in the unrealistic hypothetical situation of trying to avoid selling so much that you find yourself selling the job of selling to a salesperson because you're a speaker, damn it, not a salesperson, LOL, I'd be willing to bet that one of the first questions a salesperson is going to ask you is, quote, do we just sell speaking, or do you have other stuff I can sell, end quote. Can you commit a full-time salary to a salesperson? Can you give a salesperson enough dollars worth of product services to sell that they can make enough money that they do not have, not ever have to look elsewhere for income or opportunity? I could go on, but I think you get the idea. And cue the music. 7 more accountabilities on the chart. 7 more accountabilities. I don't describe my own business as a speaking business, or a coaching business for that matter. I call it a speaking practice, because I do my own sales. I only eat what I hunt and gather. When it comes to this accountability, the closest I will get to calling what I have a business is when I use the phrase, mind your own. If I'm not offended or in any denial when somebody asks me if I'm a salesperson. Mind your own business. No, I'm a speaker. No, I'm a coach. Mind your own damn business. Yeah, I guess I am a salesperson. I digress. To the music. You nail one down. You pass it around. If you are still, I added still, if you are still not convinced that you need to get better at sales, from the mindset to the skill set, and that getting good enough, it should say at sales, I'm sorry, there's a typo right here. It should say at right there. Getting good enough at sales to generate enough revenue to pay yourself six figures after all the other expenses are paid is very difficult. If you're still not convinced of all of that, well, the next 6 tips will reveal dozens more reasons why speakers struggle to build what I would personally feel comfortable calling a speaking business. 6 down. Is it worth it? Does it run? What does it sell? What must we know about the marketplace? What does and how does the marketplace know about us? And how do we convert prospects to clients? And cue the music again. 6 more accountabilities on the chart. 6 more accountabilities. We've taken one down. We'll pass it around, and I'll see you next Friday for the rest of the 6 more accountabilities on the wall. All right, there we go. We did it. Woohoo! Happy Friday. And here we are. Comments, questions, tips. Here we go. We're into discussion. My favorite part. Happy Friday, everyone.
I love it. I love it. Well, before I comment on some of the things that were discussed during the week at this workshop I was at, Dee, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you. I show up on Fridays just to hear Jeff sing.
And you'll be duly rewarded in another lifetime. Oh, wow. It's funny. That's the same reason I show up, by the way. Oh, man. That is funny. That's great. Dee is an up-and-coming superstar, by the way. We got you. We're ready for you, Dee. We never know when you're going to show up, but we're ready for you when you're here. And I read this week, not to digress too much or deviate too much, but I like to reward people when they come on board, take the time. And Dee's working on her own sustainability book, and I have read its introduction. I have read the chapter on squirrels. And Dee, I just want to let you know, this is the first time that you and I have talked in real time since I read the chapter on squirrels. And you're onto something. There's something really, really, really fun about your writing style, the way that your voice comes through. There's a combination of levity, humor, and expertise that combines into a real lovely digestibility. And I want to let the world out there know that when Dee's book comes out on sustainability, it's at your pace. Like if you've been thinking, hey, I want to be a better citizen, I want to get into the game, it's such a big world, I don't know where to start, Dee is your gal. I'm telling you that right now. You're going to love every word, every sentence, every paragraph, every chapter. I'm really excited for you, Dee.
Well, thank you so much. What a glowing recommendation. I love it. This book is 20 years in the making, so it better be good.
I've been saying that so often. I've been saying it so often this week. It takes 20 years to become an overnight success. So very, very good. And Sue, you are here with us as always. I wouldn't be sitting here right now this Friday doing what I'm doing without you, right? So it's the Klu and Sue and the Sue and Klu. Talk to us. Yeah. Talk to us about this project that you worked on earlier in the week. That you've got an anecdote to share that ties into what we're doing. Let's hear it.
Yeah. So shout out to Maddie Wilson and Michael Arnott from Mainstage, who ran a fabulous workshop for the day in the city here in Melbourne. And one of the things they focused on the speaking business. But one of the questions that they put to us as the participants was to think about, particularly from the sales perspective, how do we position ourselves when we're actually looking to engage with either someone who does the speaking bookings or the person organizing the event as opposed to the audience. And Yes. It was a really good reminder that the pitch is different.
Oh yeah, I love it. It's powerful. It could be a tip, right? Like I just in Klubi snack form, because that's the way my brain works.
Yep.
Mind the gap, right? It could be a mind the gap.
Yes.
There is always a difference between who you are speaking to and who you are selling your speaking to.
Yeah.
There it is. How we do it, right?
And then to that, which ties probably ties back a little bit into the marketing side of it, is that where are we doing that selling? So on our one sheet, speaker one sheet, on our website, so creating those opportunities to have the conversations. And so that was one really interesting point. So interested in your comments on that.
Well, first of all, the idea that I don't have a comment yet, but an idea that just came about, like I'm going to update my voicemail greeting right now. I mean, like, I don't know, like when people call people these days and it goes to voicemail, I don't know if people sit there and wait to actually leave a voice message, but sometimes it happens, right? But Brian Chachel taught me this, D, that, all real estate is real estate, right? So like what? Hey, you've reached Jeff. Sorry, I can't make it to the phone right now, but if you leave your name, number, and a good time to call you back, I will get back to you. Are you kidding? They know they're calling me. They know I can't get to the phone. They know how to leave a voice message. Why am I wasting that real estate right there? Why don't instead I say, on the heels of your comments, Sue, is the marketplace, right? Where are we when we're selling, right? Hey, this is Jeff. If you're calling to book me for a speaking engagement, do this. For anything else, do that. And now everybody that calls is going to know I'm a speaker.
Yeah. Yes.
Right.
Nice.
So that's just one idea that came to mind, is like never waste an opportunity to let the marketplace know what you're up to. Right. Somebody could be a telemarketer calling me for whatever. Right. And then they get the voice message. Oh, well, that guy is a speaker. Huh. Oh, anyway. So we want to be thinking about, marketing ourselves, putting ourselves in a position. But back to Org Chart 101, right? We got to, remember that chronology. They're anonymous. We don't know who they are at all. John Doe, Jane Doe. Then by virtue of putting, collecting information from the market, putting information into the market, we get a name, a phone number, an email, whatever it is. Now it's a lead, right? It's either going to lead, it's going to lead somewhere. It's going to lead to nothing, or it's going to lead to something, but it's going to lead somewhere. Lead. And just like, hey, we know them or we don't. That's what gets them over the threshold from, from anonymous to lead. But now, once they're a lead, we have their name, phone number, and email, or we know where they go, or we know where they're attending, or we know where they hang out, or whatever, what bus benches they drive by. You know what I'm saying? Then we put our messages into the marketplace, and if they're now in a conversation with us, now they go from lead to prospect. If they know that we have a solution to a problem, if they know we have a product, service, whatever, and they're in front of us still, now they're a prospect. So that's what gets us to where we are today. There's only one accountability in sales, and that's to convert, right? And so, what I was talking about, we were talking a little bit about marketing. It's hard to talk about sales without marketing, but it's so important to distinguish,
differentiate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because when we look, and I can screen share, but when we look at the two accountabilities inside of marketing, one is lined up for an analytical. An analytical wants to collect information, do market research, acquire, assemble, upload, data enter, analyze, sort, qualify, report on. That's an analytical behavioral style in a marketing department. The person wants to put messages out in the marketplace. They're going to be more like me, right? Then now you got an emotive, you got a creative, you got an emotive. You follow? And of course, there's some analyticals that are in the output part, and there's some creatives that are in the input part. But my point is, now you got a totally different behavioral style, not totally different, but different enough for sales. Now you need a closer. Now you need somebody that is willing to confront, ask for a credit card, ask for a signature, ask for the appointment, ask by when do you want me to call you back once you've done thinking about it. I don't know what you need to think about because I'm right here and I can answer any questions that you have. But when do you want me to call you back? So we need somebody that's willing to confront, not, do you follow? That's a high D on a DISC assessment, but you know what I mean? You want other features. So it's important to understand the accountabilities to get us in a position to understand behavioral styles. Then when we're staffing and when it is time to hire a salesperson or an assistant or we want to be able to use those behavioral assessments, understand competitive advantages, right? Because so many people, we're off topic a little bit, but so many people when they're growing their business, it's out of desperation. Hey, do you have a pulse? Can you start tomorrow? You're hired. And now they haven't screened for behavioral style. They haven't matched with the accountability, the qualifications. Just like, do you have a pulse? Can you start tomorrow? And then 6 weeks later, they wonder why their employee sucks. Hello, what has two thumbs and hired that employee? That's right. So there's so much we could talk about and unpack, but I'm in a fast-paced mood on a silly Philly Friday. What else do you got? Who else has a comment or a question?
Well, to both of you. So when we were in I'll stop in a minute. When we were in the workshop, the book was provided by Marty. So more funny, more money. And he talks to using humor strategically to drive sales. So again, I know humor is such a very much a vital essence of who you are, Jeff. So I was interested in your comments, and Dee, the fact that Jeff mentioned the humor that you've brought into your book too. So yeah, love to hear both your comments from that humor.
Dee's humor is totally different than my humor. Dee's humor is smart. Mine is vulnerable, silly, childish. Like when I laugh at Dee's humor, it's because, wow, that was smart. And it makes me chuckle. You know what I'm saying? When I'm laughing at my own humor, I'm really like laughing at myself. But and that's the other thing, right? What did the title of the book? More funny, more money. It was the key is, are you ready? Strategic. Read the subtext for the title again.
The subtext is using humor strategically to drive sales and deliver winning pictures.
Okay. When I grow up, I want to be him, because I don't like, the only strategy is that I'm being myself, and I believe in laughing our way to the learning. You know, it's coping mechanism, and I don't. But if there's like strategy, X's and O's, blocking and tackling. I don't know. Like I don't know if I want to read it, right? Because like I haven't studied how to use humor. I just show up to be myself all the time. But that's awesome. I love bringing that to the table. Really cool. This is so much fun every week. Dee, what do you got? Do you have comments, questions, feedback?
Yeah, I think this is such an important part of any business. I mean, a speaking business, a authorship, a consulting business, whatever kind of business you've got going on, whatever your gig is, selling is necessary. You know, like you said, you only get to eat what you kill. So if you don't kill anything, you're going to starve to death. And I hear people say, you know, just like you were saying it very like funny, but it's like in my head, I'm like, oh, I hear people say this all the time. That is the number one question I get from people about entrepreneurship. Oh my gosh, aren't you afraid that you're going to run out of work and nobody's going to hire you and then you're going to starve to death?
So after I say a vehement hell yes, I say it's not that bad. Okay, keep going.
Yeah, and it's, you know, it's like, well, I mean, I can honestly tell you I've lost exactly one night of sleep over that in all of the years that I've been self-employed. So I am 100% confident in my ability. But as you get into new territories and you get into new things, and it's scary because I know how to sell these things because I've been doing it for 30 years. But selling this other thing, it's different. The audience is different. The topics are different. The competition is different. So you kind of start all over again with every new little chapter that you start in your professional career. And you kind of have to go back to that chapter and you have to read it again. And you have to say, okay, who's my audience? Who's my competition? How am I going to do this? And I love the part where you said, you know, who you're selling, you're speaking to is different than the audience that you're speaking to, because you have to know your audience at every turn.
Every turn. Well, and you know what, I'm gonna see you have to know your audience at every turn, and I'm gonna raise you. We have to know ourselves at every turn too, don't we?
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah, enough said there, right? I don't have to elaborate on that one. You know, and then what it helps me bring up is it's, you know, like you said, I could sell this because I've done it for all these years, right? But then I got to sell something, I don't know, right? But then it's one thing to say, well, can I sell cell phones because I've been selling them for 20 years, or can I sell coffee mugs now? Like, I don't know. Could you do how I sell phones? Does it transfer to coffee? That's enough of a circuit breaker. Like, it's enough to make you pause and make you study and make you look within and go back to basics and break out everything that you were saying. I want to see that and raise that. Can I sell myself? Right. And it is amazing Have you ever, like, you want to have fun, right? Get into, like, the next time, like, you're in a group of people and you got a chance to, like, raise your voice a little bit. Hey, just real quick. Hey, who's Android? Okay, who's iPhone? What's better, Android or iPhone? And then you will start a brawl. You'll start Hatfields and McCoys. Right? Who's Pepsi in here? Who's Coke? Oh, right?
Yeah.
The Coca-Cola. It's got to be. I don't know how you drink Pepsi. It makes man. And people are aggressively selling other people's stuff. But when it comes to selling our own stuff, isn't it different? We don't even think twice about rejection. We actually want to get in the face of the person that has the competitor's product. Do you know what I'm saying? Right? It's like amazing. I've had these arguments where I'm like, oh, blue screen again, huh? Once you go to Apple, you'll be fine. And here I am selling Apple. Right? You're like, oh, damn it. With your Android, I can only send you one picture at a time. If you would just get iPhone, I can send you all the pictures that I want you to stop your life and look at. Very funny, right? I've shamed my brother when he orders a Pepsi. I'm like, my God, Dave, isn't your lifestyle horrible enough? You're going to add Pepsi to it? Here I am aggressively, like, even using shame to sell for Coca-Cola over Pepsi. But like, oh, yeah, I do some speaking. You know what I mean? Like, isn't that funny? Like, we are advocates for other stuff, right? Well, so we have to love ourselves, and we have to fall in love with sales. Sales is a 5-letter word. It's not a 4-letter word. Back to like the whole, it's a 5-letter word, not a 4-letter word. It's not a dirty word. And then we can get into unpack the psychology of why are people afraid of sales. Well, it's easy. They're afraid of rejection, and they've been made uncomfortable by some poorly executing salesperson, some commission breath, aggressive. What's that behind you? Sign here. What do you mean you have a life? Nothing's more important than getting me commission right now. We've all experienced that. And so none of us wants to be that, right? But we can't just focus on how it's done poorly, because there's tons of ways to do it properly. And it starts with loving ourselves, believing in what we do, really understanding our customer, and then sales is going to be a hot knife through warm butter, something that we can improve upon for sure. It starts with loving ourselves and loving what we're offering. How's that? How's that for some Kluby snacky? All right. What else
That's awesome.
Yeah. What else do we have? What else do we want to talk about today? It's 11:36 already. Are we having that much fun?
We are having that much fun. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm gonna throw it up there. Last call. Comments, questions, jokes, riddles, haikus, limericks, or expressions of gratitude. I always get lit up. I'm always so happy to be here. Stu, it doesn't even have to be a Friday tip reading, but I always come alive when I'm in any type of session with you. D, I think same is true with you. Same is true. Like you pump some energy into me that's fun. I haven't described it, labeled it or anything yet, but I'm really happy right now. I'm really happy to be in your guys' company. It's just, Sue every week, and D, I never know. You're like our box of chocolates. We never know when we're going to get you, but boy, is it sweet when you're here. So,
I'm yummy when I get there. So yeah, but I like to keep you on your toes.
So here we are, on the heels of my gratitude to be in your guys' company once again this week. What do you guys got? Comments, questions, anything? As we head, and by the way, just as a preview, you just a quick dip into the sales department, only one accountability. We're going to go back into the land of operations next week when we're going to get into customer service. And then 2 weeks from now, we're going to talk about facilities management before I turn the rest of the year over to my wife. Before we discuss finances the rest of the year. All right. So last call for comments, questions. Anything. Help me out here. I'm going to keep going. My coffee's good today.
Likewise for me. It's always fun, and for me it's Saturday, so it's always a great way to start my weekend is to be lifted up with your humor, your fun, the conversations we have, which can be at times have been incredibly insightful, where we've gone off and done a bit of a deep dive into something. And Dee, always love seeing you, and I'm excited to hear more about your book, and as it gets to a point of you actually publishing it, hit me up for it. So yeah.
Oh, you know what I just saw? Dee, did you see what I just saw?
I guess not.
I think we saw Balloon Hand.
Oh.
For our first volunteer to be a pre-screener
Oh, yes. Okay.
So start the list with Sue. Sue will
I
definitely.
will.
So Sue will definitely read the book before we come out with it. She'll tell you what she thinks from an unbiased, objective perspective, and then she'll write some nuggets of advanced praise. I'm sure of it.
That would be
Absolutely.
amazing.
I would be
Thank you,
very
Sue.
honored. I'd be very honored to do that.
Oh, thank you so much. I very
Well,
much appreciate
on
that.
behalf of D, I'd be grateful. On behalf of the, anyway, this is so much fun. I like putting your names up here. How do you guys like this? This is fun. Does it still? Are you tired of it, or do you like it?
I love it. I love seeing my name on a screen. It makes me feel so important.
It's the little things that. All right, we are in last call. What else? Anything else for today, you guys?
Anything else from me today? No, it's been lots of fun.
D, anything else from you today?
I think I'm pretty good. I've had a wild week. I cannot believe it's Friday already. And I've gotten a lot of work done, but I have a lot more to go do. So
Well, that's what is it they say when you're time flies when you're got so much work to do. No, like what? Time flies when you're having fun. Hopefully your work is fun, but it's just not going to slow down either. It's just not. The only chance we had at slowing our existence down, we had to like live with a pandemic in exchange. But now the world's moving too fast. Technology, the spin rate, the busyness of it all. The older I get, the faster it goes. It's just, you can't put this genie back in the bottle. So we just got to stay productive and we got to keep loving ourselves through the speed of it.
I do have something I wanted to tell you.
Okay, I'm all ears.
So, there's a lot of, I have a hard time sitting still. You've probably learned that about me in the months that we've known each other. I don't sit still very well. And my computer was sick. Remember how it kept shutting down and booting me out of sessions on Fridays?
Oh, yeah.
And so I finally took it to the repair shop and I said, you got to help me. Something's wrong. So I was out without my computer for 2 days. And, I still had to attend some meetings and do some work. But one of the days was Veterans Day, which I am a veteran. And so I always try to take Veterans Day off, but I felt unproductive. So I decided to sell on Veterans Day. Sometimes these are hard for me to get out there and sell. So my children's book that was released earlier this year, I decided to go sell it on Veterans Day. I found out where a whole bunch of the free little libraries were in town. And I put it out there on social media in my local area. And I said, hey, you guys, I'm out here dispersing love and children's books in the little libraries. I'm going to let you know where they're, it's going to be like a scavenger hunt. And then I happened to come across a preschool that was actually open. And I went inside and I donated a book and I talked to the teachers and I'm going to get to go back and do a reading. And so then I took pictures of everywhere that I left the book and I opened it up to the community to go scavenger hunt to get a free copy of the book.
What a great idea.
It was fun. So, I'm just trying to be creative with sales, and, it does definitely tie back into, the sales thing. Some of it can be very direct and face-to-face, but some of it can be a little bit more passive too. And just,
that's where the line gets blurry between, am I so passive that this is marketing and not sales? Right? You know what I mean? Because the accountability, I don't want to go back to org chart and everything, but when we're in the sales department, the accountability isn't to inform the marketplace. It's to convert an informed marketplace. Right?
I sold 3 books that day, though. I did do a little bit of conversion. I sold 3 books that day. It was great.
It's great. And it was wonderful for you because I'm already feeling, as empath as I am, you went from feeling unproductive, which is your normal fuel of choice, is got to do, and then you went in and totally shifted, and it wasn't the same type of productivity as your normal project management stuff and construction, etc. But you were creative, you were fun, you were productive. You got to check the productive box, but you weren't productive the hardwired, stressful way that you were. It was more of a creative rather than a constructive. Then there's a subtle difference between creative and constructive, right? Different energy, and so you gave yourself that vibration on the day. That's what I'm feeling as you share this story. Good for you.
Yeah, it was fun too. It was a little bit of an adventure for me because I had to go find them all. And then, I took pictures and I did some posts about it. And, I signed all the copies that I left. So I'm hoping that I get some feedback from people who've gone and found them and get to read them. So this is kind of fun.
Sue, can you imagine if we did the scavenger hunt idea and all of the books that would be floating in the Pacific Ocean?
Go fish. Go fish.
Somewhere in between Sue and I are where you'll find all the books. Somewhere between Melbourne and San Diego. There's your scavenger hunt. Can you narrow that down for me a little bit? Anyway, just to try to be silly, of course. All right. We are in last call. Anything else? Last call is funny because I think I say last call like 4 times. So there's last call.
It's my kind of bartender.
Well, thank you. Oh God, you know what? It's so funny. Sue, the rapport is so strong that it might surprise you to be reminded that Dee and I have never met in person.
Okay.
Can you believe that?
Wow.
Okay, good. So I was right. You were surprised. But I bring it up because she just told me for the first time that I'm her kind of bartender. So guess what's going to happen when we meet in person? We are going to celebrate. It is going to be cool, right? If you drink like you do everything else, this is going to be a professional experience. All right. So even though like, I don't know if you could tell how sharp my face is and how good I've been during 90-day challenge season. I'm down about 20 pounds and I've been really disciplined, but I've been known to like my beer. I've been known. So it'll be fun to raise a glass with you whenever we get the chance to do that, Dee. And I feel like every Friday reading a tip is indeed raising a professional glass with you. So I'm going back to gratitude and optimism. I can't wait. I got to see Sue for the first time in years earlier this year, and we raised a glass together. It was wine that particular night. It was author's hour. That was so much fun. But yeah, I can't wait to meet you in person, Dee, and celebrate all of the stuff that we're building. It's just great to get to know you. I admire you. I'm happy to be a piece of value in your world. I'm learning so much in working with you and hanging out with you. So it's just good. It's good stuff all the way around. Is there anything else we want to scratch or uncover today before we dismiss? Anything else?
No, not for me. All good. Been lots of fun and good to see you both. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for being here, Dee. Thank you for being my co-pilot, co-author, co-partner, just so many levels of co to our arrangement. And I'm filled with gratitude. And you guys, be kind to yourself and be kind to the world out there. And let's do our part to make sure we're part of the solutions and not part of these problems. And I love you guys. And have a great weekend. And I'll see you soon. Take care, everyone.
Take care.